Welcome to ComposersCAPE, episode number 34. In this episode, I'm going to break down the top 10 superhero film scores of all time. Been meaning to do this for a while. I thought I would let a few more superhero movies come out just in case, some of those might make the list, but the list is pretty up to date at this point now. So I thought I would talk first real quick. I've been reminded by Scott several times that we do in fact have composers in the title. As such, I figured it's a time to throw out some of our awesome opinions as to what we think are the best scores. Actually, mostly me. I think Scott might disagree with a few of these. We'll see. But it was incredibly hard to compile. I've been actually thinking about it for a couple months. But I think I got this down, and it's in the order that was really it ended up being the best. These movies, these top 10 scores, if I were to give them a number rating, they would all be within a point of each other, almost all of them. But for me, what makes a good film score is a little hard to quantify, but I do have a few things. First off, most importantly, was it memorable? Did it leave an impression, as much as the movie itself? Did the themes and the soundscapes stick with me? And that's a big deal because, as I think Hans Zimmer said this in his masterclass, you're creating this world, this whole vibe, so that when you hear the music, you picture this world, and it has to fit with that world. So that's important. Which brings me to the second point. Did it help create the world that the film exists in, or was it just background music? Fairly stereotypical. Not necessarily bad, just it did its job. It mirrored the action on the screen. But this one needs to create a whole world. It needs to engross you. It becomes, inseparable from it. The best example I can think of that is the music for Star Wars. The way he orchestrates that, you can just tell it's a Star Wars score. Themes used throughout fit everything. It fits that world. And then the last little thing is I love leitmotif. Now, leitmotif being a theme associated with a character, a feeling, a place, all sorts of things. So that's also really important. I do tend to be a little biased towards the composers I have grown up loving, John Williams, Hans Zimmer, and Danny Elfman in particular, but I'm also really interested in new composers. But this list ends up following my biases just a little bit. So let's dive in with the number 10 on the list. What's number 10? Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, music by Michael Giacchino. It really hit home at the time I saw it and set itself apart from the other Marvel Cinematic Universe scores. From the very start, this music was it was different. All the other Marvel movies up to this point, their scores were fairly. I mean, they weren't bad. I mean, you had the Avengers. Actually, I believe you had two of the Avengers movies. But I don't really think too much about the previous scores. I think I really liked the Captain America, the first Avengers score. But this one was when it felt like their universe of music was opening up. The best moment, if you want to check this out, if you've never really sat down and listened to it, I'll give you a best moment for each of these. The best moment in this one was good luck saying this, the Sanctimonious Sanctum sacking. And it's a big set piece. I think it's about 7 minutes long, and it covers all the themes. It's really good, and it even has the big moment when he really does just become the Sorcerer Supreme, really. Not the role, but in the fight, he comes rising up with the cape that has chosen him, and he is him now. So that is definitely the best moment for me. And then let's move on. Coming in at number 9 is Black Panther. Pretty much for a lot of the same reasons. Around the same time, even. It's just all of a sudden these MCU scores start they get their footing. They're unique. They're not just. It felt different. It made the movie feel different. You still were in that universe, that Marvel universe, but now the characters were expanding. You had magic introduced in Doctor Strange, and Black Panther pretty much introduces this whole kingdom and this whole culture. And the music is highly reflective of that. It's by Ludwig Göransson. Sure, I pronounced that terribly, but he has been a long time. Worked with the director for a long time in several movies, so they work well together. But he integrates all this African drumming and vocal parts, and it really helps you, brings you to Wakanda. And the themes for Killmonger and Black Panther are also really great. That being said, the best moment on this, I think, is the first waterfall fight, the one he wins, because that gives you all the themes, all the setup. You get to hear all the drumming, the vocals, all in one thing. You get introduced to the Jakari and all of that. So all that music is right there in a nice compact place, and it's not the end credits music, which is, I could really list that for all of them, and that's a good place to start if you want to hear kind of the overture, since they don't do opening credits a lot anymore. But yeah, this one right here is another one that set itself apart from the MCU. Really great score. 2018. Wow, that was so long ago, it seems now. And y'all are going to try and call me on this, and you won't be entirely wrong. I do tend to favor DC movies or DC characters. I love the MCU, but when it comes to music, I believe DC has run the table. That being said, the next one on my list is my favorite MCU score so far, or at least this month. And coming in at number 8 is Avengers Infinity War. Now, I could have picked Endgame for this, except for, they're both the same. And honestly, to me, Infinity War is possibly the best MCU movie to date. Spider-Man No Way Home is really good. It's very much a crowd pleaser, but this one, they took a lot of chances. There's that big ending. All of these characters, so many are being brought somewhat together for the first time. And Alan Silvestri comes back after Danny Elfman completed the score in the second movie, Ultron. He comes back for this one, bringing his Avengers theme in full force, also integrating the newer themes, Black Panther and Doctor Strange, seamlessly into this whole thing. And then also having some of the most tragic music in the MCU, including what I consider the best moment musically. Musically is at the end. It's called the track is called Porch, and it starts off. You think there's going to be this big string thing, but then all of a sudden it's just a string quartet. So, it starts off with the cello, and then the rest of the quartet comes in and plays this very somber theme for Thanos as he sits on the porch with his banged up arm, from just kind of relishing his victory and apparently planning on retiring there. But that theme it's this short little lovely string quartet, and to me that is the best moment. All of it's great. I can even mention the moment when Cap first shows up with WandaVision fighting the Thanos' goons. So yeah, Infinity War, best Marvel score, best Marvel movie so far still, I think. Maybe. And coming in at the number 7 spot is Spider-Man, the original, music by Danny Elfman. To me, this was the perfect score for Spider-Man, and it still is. I've loved all the recent scores, especially the Michael Giacchino scores to the MCU Spider-Mans, but this one was the original. This one, it just still sticks with me. It's a tight score. The themes are wonderful. It maintains the more serious superhero tone that had been set since Batman, and I believe even at this point the X-Men movies, while still being light-hearted. And the best moment from it is, for me, the city montage. And it's the scene after he's discovered his abilities, where he's kind of like got it going. He knows what he's doing. He's going around saving people, stopping criminals, and it just really kind of pulls all the themes from before together. That's a big thing in the scores I tend to like. They have that moment where all the themes separately build, and then all of a sudden when they come together, if it hits, that's just almost guaranteed instant classic in my book. So that is a number 7. And moving on to the next spot, number 6 is my brave one, Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is also the newest one on the list, believe it or not. Some of the newer movies have come out, but their scores just haven't quite made it in yet. Sometimes they have to grow on me, but right now this one's pretty solidly at 6. Now, I know a lot of Zack Snyder aficionados tend to have this at the top of their list. I don't know if that's just the newest or if they just really like Tom Holkenberg's more hard rock kind of bent on things. There's lots of guitars. The Stand Together rock version of that is throughout. But to me, the orchestral stuff is really great. He whipped up some new themes. He changed his mind over the years since the original Justice League, which he ended up not scoring. I think he used all those themes for the Mad Max movie. But he changed his mind on the Batman theme and made it this more hopeful theme. I think he derived the main Justice League theme from that. He made new themes for Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman. Although I have to say, that is my one kind of, I don't want to call it a disappointment, but I was a little bummed that they didn't integrate Rupert Gregson-Williams' Aquaman theme, because I just think it's a really great theme, and stylistically I think it would have fit in the score. Now, best moment, there are a lot. And musically, I tend to love The Crew at War Power, but I mean, you really can't argue the best moment being the Oscars fan favorite moment, the At the Speed of Force. It's a great scene too, with the Flash and that neat little muted guitar riff and turning back the clock. Zack Snyder's Justice League falls into the list at 6, which makes you gotta wonder what's coming up next, huh? Because I know my Snyder fans, I got a few of them out there. Probably expected this to be in the top 3. Of course, I know their top 3. It's always some variation of this and Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. But let's keep going. At number 5 is, speaking of Rupert Gregson-Williams, I knew I wouldn't get that right every time this episode, Wonder Woman. This score is exceptional. I was blown away by the score and the movie when I first saw it. From the very beginning, like the first time, I almost immediately wanted to see it again, and I definitely went home and purchased the soundtrack right off. It really creates all of the world sonically well. All the way from ancient Themyscira to the trenches of the First World War. The themes are all great, the drama, heart-wrenching, and then the way he integrates Zimmer and Tom Holkenberg's Wonder Woman theme, which I heard somewhere was an electric cello. It's perfect. And this one's another easy. These top movies, their best moment is generally very easy to pick. One of them was a little more complicated because it's an older one, but in this one, it's got to be No Man's Land. Best movement in the movie as well. I love whenever that theme comes on in my playlist. So next is number 4. Number 4 on the list is Batman v Superman. Oh, wow. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, not in the top 3. I already see some Snyder people. I might actually get some comments on this video, maybe. A bunch of L's from Snyder fans, including some people I like or friends with. Great score, epic score. If two of the top three movies didn't exist, it would definitely be higher on the list. But their existence, I hope you all will understand. This is coming from me musically and musicologically. Is that a word? Probably not. So be nice, Snyder people. You'll understand, hopefully. It's a fantastic score. It's perfect for the movie. The only reason it's number 2 on the list is because the 3 scores above it are the best of the best of the best, in my opinion. This is all my opinion. Unlike Twitter people, I do not state things as fact. This one was interesting. Best moment, I can spout it off, but then I thought about it for a second, and really, there were 2 tracks that are separate, but it's all one bit. And everyone knows the moment in the movie. So it's a tie between Is She With You and This Is My World. From the moment Wonder Woman enters the scene in the movie all the way until Superman sacrifices himself is some of the best movie music of the genre ever. I almost exclusively have to listen to those tracks together. Can't be separate. When Is She With You ends, I expect to hear This Is My World. So, everything in the battle got hopeful, but in the end, it required the ultimate sacrifice. Great sequence there. So that's where Batman v Superman lies on the list. And now for the moment you've all fast-forwarded to, unless you were scanning and happened to see that Batman v Superman wasn't number 1. Number 3 of our top 3. Number 3 is Batman. Not the Batman, but Batman. Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Tim Burton, and music by Danny Elfman. I wore this thing out, and I still do. This is the score that really, I feel like this movie and this score really set the superhero genre forward. You had Superman, Superman 2, which was okay, and then Superman 3 and 4. 3 is hilarious. It's a comedy. It's stupid. I love Richard Pryor. I will have no slander of Superman 3. Superman 4 did not exist. Boy, if WB was going to delete a movie, that would be the one. But yeah, this one said superheroes can be dark and serious. Now, mind you, it's over the top. It's gothic. It's dark. And this score fits perfectly. The score plus Prince's music on the soundtrack album. I have both of these things on cassette tape. Wore them out. Soon as it came out on DVD, bought it on DVD. Soon as it came out on iTunes, bought it on. I own this. I've spent probably more money on this soundtrack than anything else, short of Star Wars. But yeah, the Danny Elfman. This was the one I didn't want to just be boring and pick the opening credits, although I will tell you I remember in the theater the opening credit sequence with people cheering and the music and the snare drums. It's the whole thing. But musically, put your headphones on and listen to Descent into Mystery. That's when Batman takes Vicky Vale to the Batcave in the Batmobile. And it has that choir, and I really feel like choir after this movie. Everyone's like, I want choir in my score now. I know some people would dispute that, bring up examples, but boy, do I remember the choir sticking out in this one. So yeah, number 3, Batman, Danny Elfman. Which brings us to number 2. And I will tell you, I'm as surprised as anyone with this one, but you cannot have a list. I don't care. You cannot have a list without Superman. I mean, this was the movie that really took superheroes from being Saturday morning cartoons or kitschy 60s Batman show, and just, it's like, here's Superman, here's Christopher Reeve and Gene Hackman and Margot Kidder and all of these characters, and music by John Williams. I would actually say that you're not going to get a list from me that doesn't have John Williams on it. He is the undisputed king of film music. I mean, just look at the number of Oscar nominations the man has. I think it's like more than anybody of anything. But yeah, Superman. 50 years, almost 50 years later, everyone knows this theme. I often hear how it's outdated, but here it is 50 years later, and everyone still knows it. They know it right up there with Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it's perfection. It's simple. It's a march, but you know, it still tells me that Superman, that Christopher Reeve Superman, that theme is him. Do I hear it working with Henry Cavill? No. But you know, but the Superman in general, like if they're doing like a montage of like all the Superman, yeah, this is the theme. This is the original. It's like, I love the music in The Mandalorian. It's great in its own way, but it's not the theme to Star Wars. That, well, possibly the greatest movie theme of all time, arguably. Probably not to me, arguable, but whatever. So there it is. It's Superman, number 2. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. My video is still recording, so I'm very excited to present you my number one. My number one movie. A superhero movie score. And actually one of my favorite scores, period, is Man of Steel. So there, Snyder fans, I got one. Actually, all 3 Snyder movies made this list. That should tell you something. But yeah, it's this has been my favorite superhero movie score since the movie came out. I didn't know it at the time. I would have gone back and said Batman back then, but the more I thought about it, the more time passed, the more I realized that this is literal perfection. It creates this DC world, this very science fiction score mixed with, I believe he used a drum circle, lots of guitar and things, and synthesizer, the famous synthesizer pad, which I actually use in my music a lot. I sneak it in there all the time. I just push down different bunches of keys often. And the leitmotif sticks, and I've even read a very wonderful theoretical analysis of a lot of the themes and how they were quite possibly based on the Williams theme, and you should check that out. I'll let you Google that. It's very like, know your notation, you're good. But yeah, there's not a dull moment in the score. Much like a Snyder film, you know, you can pause it, and every frame you pause on, almost, unless you get caught in a dissolve or something, is a photograph. And this score's the same way. There's no pieces where it's just like vamping. Everything is a musical construction, even if it's simple. And of course, and this is another one if people ask me what's my favorite superhero film score, I will say this without any hesitation. And the best moment, I will say without any hesitation, is the flight. First Flight. I still get chills whenever I hear this theme or watch the scene. I just love it. It's just perfection. That Superman theme that's been building the whole movie, that Man of Steel theme, just all of a sudden it is fleshed out. Kind of like what Zimmer and Shore did in the Dark Knight trilogy, how you didn't really get a full Batman theme till the end of Batman Begins. And even then, I never really felt that the Dark Knight trilogy really had solid like melodic themes. It was more like soundscapes, and that's great. I love those movies, but that's rather not in the top 10. But yes, Man of Steel, Kal-El Learns to Fly. It also had the most beautiful posters and trailers. Great cast. So that's it. That is my top 10 list here at ComposersCAPE. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me your top 10. Tell me your top 3. Anything. And we'll be back next time.